So, the last division we're going to take up is Division 6, the division of expansion. The key purpose of this division is contained in its name: expansion. You know, nothing in our world stays the same. It either improves and expands, or it degrades and it dies, right? So, if you want your existing or future business to expand without fail, you need to have a strong, functioning Division 6. Let's look at these three departments as usual: 16, 17, and 18. Let's take a look at what one does in those departments, what their functions are. You see, you could say about a person that he is as alive as he can communicate. In other words, a person's success is directly proportional to his ability to communicate. There are two flows, inflow and outflow. When we communicate, we initiate something outward and then get some sort of a response, right? Quite simple. Alright, so let's demonstrate this inflow and outflow principle, how it could be. Okay, so I'm just standing out on the street trying to get money. That's the idea I have. And I'm simply standing there. Is anyone going to give me money? I don't think so. What about like this? And like this? And how about this way? There. Thank you, young lady. It worked! So, this inflow and outflow principle applies totally to a group or a business. That is, we can expect that the company which generates a sufficient, good, correct outflow can count on a full-fledged inflow in the form of clients, income, profits, etc. Department 16. This is the department where we first contact our potential clients. That's precisely that exact outflow. Remember the example with charity I did earlier? Charity, as such, has nothing to do with it, of course. But it's the idea of first contact. That is, look, we have our regular clients and then we have the brand new ones. Look here, if I am the sales manager or even simply the manager over client relations, then suppose that my hat says I have to work with regular clients and new ones. And as a general rule, this does happen in most companies. Tell me then, is it easier for me to work with existing clients or new ones? With existing ones, no doubt. And the new ones will happen by the leftover rule. I can always explain to my senior that right now, I'm working with our very own Joe Bloggs, who's been with us for years already, or with some company. But new ones? You see, it's harder with a new one. You have to get your thoughts together. You have to brace yourself up to pick up the phone and try to call a new client. Why harder? Well, because potential new clients, they can tell you where to go. Why is it hard calling a new client? Well, because we don't know each other yet. Because we don't have any sort of established relations, no real subjects to discuss, etc. And that's where the key mistake in organizing the work of any business is made. And it's when the client relations manager hat is made to include working with both new and existing clients. So, in our company furniture, what could Department 16 be? It would be the initial outflow in the form of, flyers, brochures, participation in various shows and exhibitions, anything really. But here is the key datum for this type of outflow, is first and foremost quantity and not quality. I'll stress that once again, quantity and not quality. So, we have to create as many promotional pieces and opportunities to promote ourselves as much as we possibly can. You go to a store and there is beautifully dressed girls offering you to try a little glass of juice to taste it. You come close, drink that little glass and try it out absolutely free, and you like it enough that you go to the right department and buy a bottle of this juice, and maybe you like it so much that you start buying it regularly. And the reason why you became a regular consumer of that particular product was this little campaign. So, Department 16 deals mainly, you could say, in attracting and getting new clients to our products or services, to what it is that we do. It's as if we tell them, come to us, don't be afraid, we don't bite, look at how it is over here, here we are, here's the goods we have, etc. And then from Department 16 we come to number 17. Department 17 is where the first sales happen. In our example company furniture, in our Department 17, that is where the retail sales occur. We would have the so-called showrooms or exhibition halls where we would put out our furniture for a display or its samples that were produced by our company furniture. And our potential, as of yet still potential clients could come over and sit on the armchairs, on the sofas, open up the cupboard doors or anything you like. This is where IKEA excels beyond belief. You're involved in the sales process because you're getting the best possible reality on the product because you're touching it. Department 18. This department in Division 6 has that very interesting and at the same time not very well understood function that has to do with the concept of PR. Why do I say not quite understood? First of all, let's clear up that word. PR comes from the English words public relations. In Russian, the letters SO also means public relations. The point I'm trying to make here is no matter the country, there are those who are supposed to be specialists in public relations. But just like with marketing, there are quite a few confusions and misunderstandings around the concept of public relations in our society. Actually, it's quite simple. Let's define that word. Essentially, public relations is the art of making good works well known. L. Ron Hubbard. What does this mean, that exact definition? Let's comment on it. Let's say that from our company furniture, our PR expert from Department 18, puts this campaign in action. Furniture sends a certain large number of comfortable, quality furniture sets to one of the city's local orphanages for children. Is that a good deed? Absolutely it is. But now, that very PR expert has to make this widely known. And when he makes it widely known, then our potential audience, our potential clients, will see or hear about what we have done, and this might develop a positive image of the company and create some good public relations. And after that, after the soil has been cultivated in such a professional way from the viewpoint of our PR, then now the promotion which falls on this cultivated soil will take an effect that's greater many times over. So that's the key idea behind PR and its activity. You know, you could create a stellar sales department within your company. You could have enough well-trained super salesmen who could sell, ice to Eskimos in the winter. And you could increase your sales and income 10 times over because of such a department. You could also come up with a brilliant marketing campaign and develop your promotion in such an effective way that it won't be shooting sparrows out of a cannon, but very precise. Your communication got across to your target audience and created a maximum response. And because of such a marketing campaign, you can increase your sales 100 times. But if you delivered an educated PR campaign, right, you guessed it, you can increase your sales volume 1,000 times over. Alright, look, we can demonstrate this principle with an example. Imagine that a person walks into the studio, a very famous person, on all fronts. Maybe he is, all on his own, a very significant and outstanding person in business. Maybe that person is the president of some really successful company. And he's the opinion leader to all businessmen without a doubt. And he comes in and turns to me and says, "Hey Vlad, glad to see you. How is the practical course coming along? Everything all right?" I would answer and say, "Oh, hey Bill, glad to see you too. The course is coming along just great. The audience is good, etc. Everything is great." And he would say, "Vlad, I always knew that you know exactly what you were doing in life. You've always been kind of, a teacher and an authority to me. I honestly recommend that people listen to everything you say, because that's the way it is. I tested it on myself. All right, Vlad, all the best, good luck, see you later." And our short meeting would consist of nothing but that. And maybe we could get really creative and broadcast it over Central TV or cable at some point. So let me ask you this. Would the target audience of our practical course, the number of participants, would it go up? It wouldn't just go up. It would snowball into those possible 1,000 times we mentioned. In short, PR is a very important activity for any business, and PR is a very delicate, but at the same time a very effective activity. We could introduce and describe a lot of interesting functions in Division 6, of course. But the main idea has been communicated. In Department 18, I would also add this function. A function you can't miss. That's working with our partners, our distributors, our agents, and our field staff members, if you will. And that's another huge sphere all by itself. Our own loyal clients could bring us a lot of new clients by referral from their own environments. That's a whole distinct plateau of interest and activity. And again, it's Department 18 that deals with this. In short, the conclusion we could make about Division 6 is simple. If you want to conquer new territories over and over, and have more and more influence over those expanding territories, then you need a strong Division 6. So that was the division of expansion, and the color of this division is a light yellow.